Welcome back from the break. This is Seven Legal again, and I am Olachi Anyekwa. We are discussing gender-based violence. Have you been abused before? Has someone emotionally tortured you? Have you fallen in love and fallen out of love in recent times? And that is what we have in gender-based violence, where couples meet, get married, and the next thing, everything goes south. We meet to discuss on today's show is Barrister Chisom Ekwefi.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
I forgot to say this has been the third to second time I've gotten you on the show. Yeah. Thank you so much. But I want to really ask, how did we get here as a nation? Because I know a lot of money fund has been poured into sensitizing, trying to fight this gender violence. But it seems as though all over social media there's been an increase in gender-based violence. How did we get here?
You know, the issue of gender-based violence it's a phenomenon that is buried in the fabrics of the society.
Okay.
It is buried deep down. First of all, I will tell you that gender-based violence is the particular inhuman treatment or violence meted out to a person because of his gender or her gender. So you see a man being treated in a certain way because he's a man, and a woman being treated in a certain inhuman way because she's a woman. And this issue of gender-based violence are mostly prone to girls, women, and minorities and children. You understand? So the issue or why this gender-based violence is an issue, especially for ladies and women in Nigeria, in Africa, even all over the world, is because of the societal strata of sexism, masculinity. You know, a particular kind of power has been given to a particular gender, and a particular gender has been taught that they must do things in a certain way. They must, you know, a particular gender sees the other gender as being inferior, and that as people they can, you know, do anything to and get away with them. So it is, most times it is the societal influence. There is a heavy cultural, societal influence, you know, about this, or that causes these issues. They are really, really buried in the fabrics of the society. So the society expects a certain thing from a woman, and they don't expect that from men. They expect women to conform in a particular way. And I think this is the major issue why this continues to, you know, to be an issue.
But there's recently been an education or a sensitization to feminism and equal rights of men and women. Don't you think this should have helped in coping out this gender-based violence before we get into the next term?
You know, it is one thing to know something by bookhead. It's one thing to know something. You've read something, you know something, you understand? It's another thing to know it emotionally.
Okay.
You understand? Now, people are becoming aware. Sensitizations are being done. People are being taught. You know, awareness are being raised all over the world, even in Nigeria. People are being told. People are beginning to understand. But sometimes we are vulnerable in the face of these societal issues. Sometimes we don't even know when we contribute to that. I have read some tweets where men, you know, talk about the fact that it's good for a husband to beat the wife in order to correct the wife. And you can see some women who also agree to this. As funny as it sounds, you can see women who agree to this, who tell you that, oh, if my husband is not beating me, then he doesn't love me. So these women and these men, they are victims of society. They are victims of the misconceptions of the society. they are not just saying that for the mere fun of it. You know, it has been a build-up, a societal build-up over the years that has contributed to all of these things.
Let's not even go into the fact that some women actually accept this thing. But let me ask something. You know, some people will say this. Did he slap you? Did he beat you? Does gender-based, let's even narrow it to family issue. Just gender-based, domestic issues. Does gender-based violence, does it just end in the beating part, or is there any other part of it that is not just beating?
No, there's a lot of classifications or types of gender-based violence. You know, there are sexual based violence that are gender-based. Take, for instance, the issue of rape. Okay. I've come to this show before and I've explained that in Nigeria, at least, in most part of Nigeria, that it is only women that can be raped. So rape is a sexual form of gender violence. You understand? Sex abuse, child trafficking, early marriage, all of this.
Is emotional abuse also part of it?
Of course, emotional abuse is another type of gender-based violence. You know, when you abuse a person, you know, psychologically, emotionally, you begin to sap this person of strength, of humanhood, of his well-being, because he is related. He's a person of a particular gender. You understand?
So, okay, so at what point, because, you know, I don't want to get into, does this women or these people actually see the signs before they get into the marriage? I don't want to get into the word, but at what point do you think a woman should say, no, I can't have this again? At what point do you think that should stop?
At the earliest opportunity. At the earliest opportunity. At the earliest time you start seeing the signs. Now, you are dating a guy who it feels is all right, because all of this goes to do with the mentality of who you are dating. A man who feels that it's all right to shout at you. I'm not even talking about laying hands now, but who feels that it's all right to shout at you. Or you are dating a man who feels that it is all right to think that you are less human, that you should live for his satisfaction and for his gratification. It's an issue. It's a sign. You should leave that relationship. Now that the man is now abusing you emotionally, what are you still doing there? That has not generated to beating. It's worrisome. You understand? You should leave at the earliest opportunity. It is easier to leave when you are not even married.
That's why we say it is easier and it's good to leave at the earliest point. But as a lawyer, I know somehow you've met cases of this. You realize that some of these women, they hardly leave. Some of them actually stay there to the point of death. They stay there, they are beaten, this one, they say, what am I going to do? What do you think? Do you think some of the factors are contributing to this are economic factors? Because I believe that maybe they have their reasons for staying. Do you think some of those reasons are legit? As a lawyer who have handled some of these cases, do you think some of their reasons are legit? Because some of them say economic issues. The economy is hard. Do you think these things are legit, and what do you have to say about it?
Of course. Economic reasons can be a valid reason. You know, we have done a lot of disservice in the way we raised our children. You know, we have done a lot of disservice in the way we raised our men and in the way we raised our women. We've raised our women to be utterly dependent on men. And we raised our men to feel that it is okay to abuse women. So these are the issues. So sometimes the woman can feel that, okay, economy, who would provide for me? I have children now. It can be an issue. But another issue again that is mind-boggling is that most times they think about how society will react.
Okay.
You are a divorcee, you just left your marriage, you just left your relationship, and the society will talk, they will wag their tongues, and it's an issue. So sometimes when they think of what will society say, it makes them sometimes to want to stay back. in the marriage or in the relationship.
Not to refer back to old, an example is Osinachi, who died, and I just know she should have thought about all of this and say, how do I leave the marriage, you know?
Sometimes religion can be a factor. Some of our religious organizations, they have lied to people.
Okay.
They have not told people the whole truth, the whole honest truth. Some religion will tell you that God is against divorce, God is against leaving your marriage, but then you ask yourself, at the expense of what? At the expense of a person's life?
You know, some of them are actually so worried about what they get after they leave the house. Some of them already have children. Some of these women already have children to cater in for. Does the law have a provision where these women who have been separated from their husband because of gender-based violence, is there any way the men are mandated to take care of these children? How do they fight for the custody of their children, the education of their children, taking care of the children, and even the welfare of themselves? Is the law has provisions for some of these things?
Of course, the law has provisions for all of these things, but most times it's in the lack of knowledge of people. Sometimes people do not know. You understand, when you are divorced as a woman and you cannot, you know, be able to cater for your children, and you've gone through the process of divorce, you got custody of your children, you understand, you can make an order and ask the court to mandate the man to pay a certain amount of money for upkeep of those children, and it can be done. You understand? So, of course, there are ways you protect yourself and your children economically. You understand? If the man has money, of course you can, you know, ask the court to mandate this man, he's the father of these children, every month pay a certain amount of money, you know, for the upkeep of these children.
Some of this, before we round off, some of these marriages, some of these women cannot even afford anything to go for litigation. Are there provisions for NGOs? Are there law firms? You take these cases as pro bono cases for women who are already fighting to, you know, stand on their own?
You know, the issue of gender-based violence, now, especially violence against women, you know, it's an issue that has been of great concern lately. There's a whole lot of avenues where these women can be helped without having to pay.
Okay.
You know, there are places like the Human Rights, there are places like Legal Aid Council of Nigeria, and there are also places like the National Association of Women Lawyers, you know, female lawyers, you know, they gather together and they push causes, you know, that are women based. There are NGOs, a lot of NGOs. There was this woman that was flogged.
I saw it.
Exactly. An NGO took it up, took up the matter and saw to it, to the last of it. So it's the issue of, do you know
what to do
and where to? Are you willing to talk? Are you willing to speak up? Because most times they keep quiet because of shame
and fear.
Chisom,
your last words, please. Just tell us, advise the women who are going to be watching, and the men and the mothers, children who are going to be watching this, on what to do when they are in an environment where that is very abusive like that. What do you think they should do in a few seconds?
Yeah, nothing could suffer to protect abuse. If you are in a relationship, if you are in a partnership, you are in a marriage that is abusive, or you are in a workplace, because gender-based violence can also happen in a workplace. You're in a workplace that discriminates you or abuses you based on your gender. You can walk out, leave, or seek redress. You can bring an action in court. Oh, your boss has a pattern of always sleeping with women, you know, raping female workers. You can trace this pattern, bring an action against your boss, and make sure you get redress and leave that relationship. Nothing can suffer to protect.
Thank you very much, Chisom. It was nice having you on the show. This is 7 Legal, and I've been having a profound discussion with Barrister Chisom Ekpefi on gender-based violence. It is high time, I say it again, it's a high time we stop gender-based violence in Nigeria, not just for the people who are meant to stop, but for the lives of women who are protected and the effect it has on the children who are surrounded by it. Nobody has the autonomy of power. Nobody has the right, or nobody should go through gender-based violence at any point in time. Like he said, there are litigations you can pursue, there are law firms you can go to, there are NGOs who can be able to pursue this case. It's a matter of who you know and what you know. I want you to be able to share this video to some people who are going through this and know that there are NGOs that can be like, knowledge is power. When you hear these things, you can fight for it. Again, I am Olachi Anyikwa. This is 7 Legal. I'll see you next week.